Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final episode of the UnchARTed Podcast. My name is David Borsi, and joining me today is
Andrea Tabanyag. And for this episode, we're going to be talking about our final insights and just some stuff we learned generally from this podcast. And if you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, please check them out in the description below because they will help you understand and grasp the idea of what we're going to be talking about today.
I actually wanted to start reflecting on everything that we've learned so far between these last two episodes. And even though it was a very short-lived moment, I think that there's still a lot to learn despite such short-lived moments. I think one of the key insights in episode 1, or one of the general things that we wanted to talk about, are about the misconceptions of art in the Philippines. I still think that it really affects the growth of the artistic nature of the Philippines. I mean, even culturally, we have been so artistic in nature. I mean, in the way that we have our festivals, fiesta, our Barong Tagalogs are artistic, our flags are artistic. So it's very ingrained in our culture. Even our paintings and the general art community of the Philippines has sort of helped thrive and create these beautiful artworks. Even in Philippine literature, Jose Rizal's famous Nolimi Tangre, I think that that's also art in and of itself. And having these sort of arts very ingrained into our culture is extremely important. And we can see that, well, despite us appreciating these arts and appreciating these forms of arts as a community and as a culture, yet we still decide to continue to bash, or not essentially bash, but to bring down the art community and not encourage them, because simply it leads to a dead end. When art has been so ingrained into our culture and it's commonly taught in schools as a basic form of education. I mean, if you remember in high school, Nolimi Tangre is one of the essential literature books that we have to read and required to make essays on and analysis on. So I think having art so ingrained into our culture and yet choosing not to accept that art will develop and art needs to be encouraged is sort of hypocritical in a way.
And I think that actually, when we talk about artists, we tackled this in episode 1, right? Artists are such important additions to society. And so for us to say that, that should just be a pastime for them, that can't be practical for them, that's pretty offensive. Or not offensive, but it stings, I'm sure. And so, we kind of have to be more careful with the things that we say about artists, with the things we say about others, and about art as a whole. And I feel like that's something that I really learned, and I want the viewers also to learn, that art is so important, so we should never bring it down at all. We should keep it open. We should let everyone express themselves freely.
I think also the freedom of expression allows beautiful works of art to be created.
Exactly.
And even what we said in episode 1, that all forms of art aren't necessarily structured around exclusively paintings or acrylics or oil pastels or just the traditional paint, like painting or creating a sculpture, but it can also blossom into different areas such as literature, like Jose Rizal's Nolimi Tangre. And these forms of art can express themselves in such complex ways. They could be talking about the social or political state of the world or the country, such as, again, Jose Rizal's literature books.
I really love that.
But I think it's such a good example of how art is so integral to, human endeavor.
Art is so informative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think art is also very long-lasting in the sense that history can be taught, and I think that art is also a part of history.
It is.
The clothes that we have made over the years, our Barong Tagalogs, those are integral parts of our culture. But we have to realize that these were also designed by artists. The Philippine flag, the colors we chose, the symbolism behind it, that's art as well. The reasoning behind it.
Okay, I want to add, or I want to segue this into, let's talk about the art of dance.
Mm-hmm.
Because, our special guest, Ate Isis, from episode 2, she was able to tell us that dance is her passion, And if you watch the second episode, you would know that Ate Isis was really passionate about dance, but then her family wasn't supportive about it. So yeah, that kind of relates to what you said, that we bring artists down, or we tell them that it's not worth the effort, all the time, all the money. But then look at Ate Isis now. She's very successful. She's happy with what she's been doing. And so, yeah, I kind of want to talk about Ate Isis. So what are your thoughts on episode 2?
Well, I think those are very great insights from Ate Isis. She was very informative on how the art community plays such an integral role. And I really like what she said when she said that she hopes to change lives with
Yeah.
her art.
Inspirational.
Exactly. I think that art does more than just teach someone how to do art, or in Ate Isis's case, teach someone how to dance or simply move their body. But it's also a form of expression. Dance is a form of expression. It also helps people sort of get creative.
Yeah.
And not only that, it sort of provides a beacon of inspiration for others because it sort of brings joy to life. I think forms of art balance the mundane tasks of life and sort of gives us a more artistic and a more complex view of life.
More creative.
Exactly. I think every aspect of life is important. Logical, spiritual, creative, emotional, mental. All of these sides of life are very important. I don't think it's fair to prioritize one
Yeah.
over the other. I think everything has its own purpose. I think everything has its own role to play in society.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say that Ate Isis's insights were very integral to sort of forming this cohesive identity of the art as a whole, trying to realize that, well, passion inspires others. It also gives us more hope for the future, I'd like to say. I think despite these jobs or these artistic jobs not being practical in nature, I think they also allow humans to express that individuality
Yeah.
and maybe even express the community aspect of each other. You know, I think in the ways of dance, even solo dances or group dances, they sort of show that community is integral and important, as well as self-expression is important.
Yeah.
So I think that Ate Isis's insights were very good to sort of paint a picture of the importance of the art community, as well as sort of paving the way that, well, it is possible to pursue the arts. Not easy, but possible.
It's like what you said in the first episode, where art is kind of like a ball. Or no, artists are like the ball. So it's like we bounce off one another. We have to learn from everyone. And it's not like you learn how to dance, you learn how to express yourself perfectly just by yourself. You know, you have to learn, you have to be inspired by others. And I think that doesn't even apply to just art. It applies to everything. In every aspect of your life, you need to be learning from one another. That's why you have your friends, your family, the people around you. It's very integral in your own personal growth, and it does really help you with self-actualization. So yeah, and I think that going forward, like after this podcast, that's something that I want people to take away, that art is part of who you are. Even if you're not a very creative person, certain things that you do in your life, like the littlest, the simplest things you do, that can be considered art, and it shouldn't be viewed negatively or shouldn't be brought down or pulled down just because of these traditional views, because you know it's not like that anymore. We want to be more progressive.
Yeah. I think also, I mean, art is subjective in nature.
Yeah.
So we can't automatically assume that, oh, art is painting or art is like this. I like what you said about art could be found in the simplest and littlest things. So I think that, you know, these small forms of expression, like maybe the way you dress yourself, that could be a form of art in and of itself,
Yeah.
because it's expression, it's individuality.
Coloring your hair.
That's
right?
also a form of art. Because I mean, well, the people that color your hair are doing art because you are the canvas and
Exactly.
they're painting on you. But it's also your form of expression because you want to show people that, oh, I like this. I want to express myself like this. So I think art is subjective in nature. It shouldn't be exclusive to what people automatically assume or categorize art to be.
It's not just like a bubble of this is what art is and it can't go out of it. Art is literally it's everywhere. It
It
can't be
is.
confined. So
I also like to mention, well, you know, we keep talking highly about art, but I think it's also important to pinpoint that, well, art isn't an easy.
it's not.
It's not. It's
very-
not an easy sort of job or
like a path, a career path.
it's not an easy career path. I really want to stress this. I think Ate Isis did mention a lot of hardships that she had to go through. It was not it was not a straight shot.
And there's a lot of competition in that industry.
Very, very, very competitive industry. And of course, hopefully this doesn't discourage artists to pursue what they want. But like I said in the first episode, there are different situations for different people. Some people are better at other things. Some people are better at this. I mean, it's still important to follow your passion. And if you want to do art, if you really want to, you can definitely try. And I think at least if any way you're expressing your art, that's good. But I also do like to mention that it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's not to discourage people from stopping to do art.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be difficult, very competitive environment, and it's really not going to be a straight shot to the end. You're going to struggle, you're going to experience a lot of competition, and it might even be times where, honestly, you're going to have to hang the towel and call it quits.
Yeah. I think that with art being so competitive in nature, with it being so difficult already, with all the different struggles, it's so unfair for other people to add on to that. I feel like, imagine you're an artist, you're struggling, and then there's still comments you're hearing and feedback that they're telling you can't do it because it's not practical, you're not gonna succeed, there's too much like obstacles that you can't endure. That will bring you down, So I think that's such an important takeaway. Like I said a lot of times, that we need to support these artists. We need to support them. We need to remind them that they're individuals, they're humans, and it's gonna be hard for them. But if they're really passionate about it, if that's what they really want to do, then that's what they should do.
Yeah, I do think that despite the struggles of being an artist, I also like to sort of bring this message that since art is subjective in nature, if you can't succeed in the art that you specifically want, for example, I want to succeed in painting, but obviously a very competitive environment, maybe I'm just not cut out for that. And that's okay. I want to stress that it's really okay that you can't succeed in the art that you really want that badly. Because if you really think about it, there are doctors who also want to be the best in their respective field, but can't because the competition is just too great.
Yeah.
Engineers, engineers as well, doctors, like I mentioned earlier, other forms of, even being a teacher, being a professor in your specific subject, trying to be the best professor in that specific subject is also really difficult. It takes years of studying, practice, and again, not everyone is cut out for it.
But that's not to say that they should stop being passionate about it.
Exactly.
It's just like, if it can't work out, you can still find a different way, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop loving what you do.
Exactly. Exactly. Since art is subjective, you don't have to do painting specifically. Maybe your form of expression lies somewhere else.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe your form of expression isn't in painting, but maybe coding.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you weren't cut out to paint beautiful landscapes, but to rather code them into video games.
Yeah.
Maybe your form of expression might not be painting the landscape, but cinematography. Maybe taking pictures of these beautiful landscapes, videoing these beautiful landscapes. Maybe you can work in production in a movie as a camera operator. There's all these other forms of expressions that are still artistic in nature. It's still similar in nature. Because again, it's all about finding what you're capable of and what you're passionate of. I think there's an important bridge between capability and passion. Because as much as we want to encourage art in this podcast, it's also important to be semi-realistic.
Yeah.
And also acknowledge that sometimes, the reason why the misconceptions about art exist in the first place is because it's true. It's competitive. It does lead. There are many times where it does lead to dead ends when you're not excelling in that field.
But that's not to say that it's gonna happen for everyone.
Exactly. That's not to say that it's going to happen to every single person.
Yeah.
It's a case-to-case basis. I think it's important to be supportive of the people that want to pursue art, but I also believe that it's realistic. So for example, someone's been doing art for 3 years and nothing has been happening. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, nothing has been happening. They're not making money, they're not seeing anything. So I think it's important to also be realistic that maybe this form of art isn't your expression.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not to say that, we're discouraging art.
Of course.
We're not saying that they're right because art leads to a dead end. Like what if for 10 years you've gotten nothing? They were right the whole time. Like no, it's still important to follow your passion because again, what's the point of living if you're not pursuing your dreams? I think Ate Isis also said that she would say she believes that life would be mundane if she did not follow her passion. She was very stubborn into following her passion because she wanted to do what she wanted to do.
It's very inspirational of her
It
to
is.
say that, honestly.
I think forcing yourself into situations where working a job that you don't want to do just to get money is very difficult. That's not to say though that we're sort of looking down on the people that have to take these jobs to make a living.
Because some people don't have that choice or that opportunity, and
Exactly.
like that sucks.
It really
But
does.
it's the reality, and so I guess we have to just acknowledge that. We have to realize that there are people who don't get the same opportunities, and it's a shot in the dark. You don't know if taking this career path, being an artist, going into dance, starting coding, or whatever it is you want to do, you don't know if that's gonna guarantee you success, right? So I guess it's just really about taking that leap of faith. And in the end, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You stay passionate. You find a way to, make use of that passion, but you never give up.
Our hope is that, well, the culture of the Philippines will develop to be more supportive of these artists,
More progressive.
more progressive as well, and also in a way, even though that you're not gaining these opportunities to pursue your dreams, we hope that you don't give up on them. I think it's really important that even though you have to just force yourself to work a job just so you can get money, maybe you can keep working to change your situation. And again, easier said than done.
Very
But-
much.
But still, there's hopefully the flame of art doesn't die in the Philippines, because as much as it's important that we try to earn to make a living, especially in this here in the Philippines in this economy, I still think it's very important that we keep the passion of art
Yeah.
growing, and that even though you're not doing what you love, you still have that passion and that love for it, so that maybe one day, when presented with the opportunity, you can finally show what you've got.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully that as a culture, as a community, and as a society, we become more supportive of the art community. Not to say that we necessarily like allow everyone to shoot in the dark and just do whatever you want, because obviously every job is important and has
We
its
need that
benefits.
proper balance.
Exactly. But we hope that at the very least, it wouldn't be frowned down upon, or it wouldn't be sort of made fun of so easily here culturally. So yeah, I really hope that we can maybe make a small difference, maybe in our generation, or the next generation, and then hopefully one day we can see the art community blossom and have a good form of expression here in the Philippines. So,
That's
yeah.
well said. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching this episode. Please subscribe to our channel. This is our last episode, but we hope that as we continue or as we go on with our lives after you close this video, you gain that knowledge and you're able to apply that wherever you go. Support an artist, support your friends, be there for the people that you care about, and let them know that art is important and that they're important.
And remember, take the path uncharted.